Okay, hi TechStars. A beautiful evening to you all. Welcome to the Backend Engineering Mentorship session. It's great to see many of you here, and I can see Lindway, Uloka, Temitope, Oladimeji, Azunobi, in the chat, on the call rather. So, as we all know, let me do the introduction again. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Sama Johnson. I am your community manager, and my role is to ensure that you all have the support you need throughout the backend engineering journey. And I'll be here to guide you, share important updates, and make sure that you have a smooth and engaging learning experience. So basically, this community is a space for you to grow, connect, and collaborate. So do not hesitate to ask questions, share your progress, and support one another. Today we won't be having a class, our regular class today. All we're going to be doing is, a session, a mentor session where our mentor gets to, share, um, give us valuable insights. So um, that's it. So I know you're all excited to dive in. So let me introduce our mentor for the backend session. Our mentor is already on this call. He has been waiting for us to join. So try as much as possible. We're moving forward. Next session, session rather. Let's try as much as possible to join in time so we can begin the session early. So let me introduce our mentor for the backend session. Um, his name is Mr. Chukwuka Ibejih. Good evening, sir. Mr. Chukwuka, you have the floor.
All right, good evening, and thank you, Samuel. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chukwuka Ibejih, but you can just call me Chooks. Chooks is fine. Everyone in Texas call me Chooks. All right, so it's nice to be here. It's nice to be here to talk to you guys about a lot of things. And when I say a lot, I actually mean a lot because there are really a lot to talk about. But it's going to be an exciting one. It's going to be an interactive one. And like Samuel mentioned, this is the main purpose of this is for you to, ask questions, get support, get advice. Just it's not really a formal ground, all right? It's just a place where we talk and discuss about relatable things and real life experiences. Um, so I had a topic planned in my head to talk about, but within the few minutes of us waiting, I decided that we just dive into something else, which would be very, very impactful and relevant to everyone. But before I proceed, because we're a handful, we can probably just have a quick one. So I would like to ask, why are you here? And when I mean here, I mean, why did you join the program? When you saw probably the adverts or the posts or whichever place you saw um, this bootcamp link, why did you click on it? Why did you sign up? Why did you register? And why are you in the program today? So it's going to be a quick one. I'm just going to ask everybody and you just give me your answer. There's no wrong, there's no right answer. I just want to know what your mindset and your perspective is. All right, so let's dive into it. And I also apologize in advance if I don't pronounce your name properly. Please forgive me. I'll learn the pronunciation along with proceed. So, Ngozi, yeah, please, the floor is yours. Why are you here? Ngozi, how are you doing? All right, let's move on. Good news. Please, why are you here?
Guys, can you confirm you can hear? Please confirm you can hear me. Okay, okay, great. So let's answer the question. I believe this is an interactive session, so let's or you can unmute your mic and speak. So whenever your name is being called, you can just unmute your mic and answer the question. Thank you very much.
Alex. Okay, that's not someone else. Lindway. Sorry, I don't know if I got that correctly, but yeah, please, the floor is yours.
Hi, did you call my name?
All right, that's good. Cheers to me.
Ugh, let me do this. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, now it's better. I've always been like interested in tech. So I've been trying to apply for a lot of like boot camps and I've been in quite a few. So and the fact that it's very nice knowing being able to tell the computer what to do, being able to come up with solutions. So it's something that I am interested in just to know more. Hence, I'm here and I do see like opportunity, especially because now it's like I feel like it's male dominated and it's something that I'm trying to change as a female.
Yeah.
So, and I did see an opportunity here. So yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much for that answer. Thank you very much. All right. Temi Tokwe, please. The floor is yours.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, actually, um, I just want to add more to the knowledge I have based on, okay, let's put it this way. It's not as if I've not been doing one or two things as far as backend is concerned, but I feel I can always learn more
Yes.
since there's no way I won't learn one or two things. So that's why I actually joined. Anyway, since I don't even, it's not as if I'm a full backend developer like that. It's just I'm still learning, so I believe I can still learn more from the program. That was why I actually joined. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. That's correct. Learning never ends, and that's a very, very valid and good reason too. Thank you very much. James, please, can we hear from you? All right, Shay, I know you joined us probably when after I've asked the question. So my question is, why are you here? Why are you in this program? When you saw the link to register, why did you register? Why did you come on board?
Um, I actually wanted to learn backend. I'm actually into front end, so I just want to like I want to also learn backend. So I've been wanting to learn backend, so I learned front end. I've known front end for over a year now, so I just want to like add backend to it. So that's why I want to learn how to use the backend too.
Right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you so much. Okay, so we all gave valid reasons why we're here, and like I said, no wrong and no right answers, and everything you've all said is very much valid. So I asked the question mostly to just know if we have a reason, because some people do things without reason, some people do things with reasons, some people do things even without conviction, right? It's probably because someone did it, they just want to do it. All right. But when it comes to back-end engineering, when it comes to tech in general, and not just tech, it even applies in the broader side of life, but I'm just going to narrow this down to um, tech in particular. So when it comes to that, being intentional actually plays a very important role, mostly because I won't come here and tell you that there are people that give that false impression that okay, tech is a quick way to make money, is it this, is that, blah blah blah. I'm not going to give you that false impression. I'm going to tell you that tech is hard. Backend engineering is hard. Coding itself is hard, all right, but that's not a thing to make you discouraged, all right. It's a thing to even challenge you further, for you to be able to break those barriers. Like Lindsay has mentioned, she wants to know how things are done, solve problems. That's the basic reason behind all this we do. So knowing the reason why you're here in the first place plays a very important role in your career path, in your career journey. Reason because at some point it's going to get really tough. It's going to get challenging, and most times everything around you would give you a reason to get discouraged, will give you a reason to, just leave this thing and move on. But what's going to keep you going is that initial reason why you joined in the first place, right? That initial passion, that initial decision you made, that's what's going to keep you going. Let's take, for example, you're building an application, maybe a video streaming application, right? And in the process of development, of course, errors comes up, bugs comes up, and you see that this application is not just going anywhere. You're not making progress, you're stuck. And at that point, you just feel like totally discouraged, mostly because what you want to achieve isn't coming to life, right? At that point, you have the reason to just dump that project or just move on to other things, right? It's a very normal thing that can happen in that situation. But if you have the mindset that, okay, I started this journey for this particular reason, I started this project for this particular reason, I'm trying to fix this particular problem, I'm trying to solve this particular problem with my innovation, I'm trying to use this project to help people in this particular area. Those are reasons. Those are things that will keep you going, not the situation at hand, not the issues you're facing, not the bugs you're facing. Those reasons are what will keep you going, because those reasons are like your checkmates, your list of to-dos that will be like, okay, this is what I'm trying to achieve, this is what I'm trying to get to. And these bugs, these issues, these errors won't stop me. I have to get to this destination. So that's just a little part around our mindset as tech innovators, our mindset as developers, our mindset as programmers, because it starts from a mindset. It's not just the code you write. It starts from the inner side of you. It starts from what is in your head, because all these things play a very important role in your career path. So like I said earlier, I had something else to talk about, but we can just dive into something different. If you can see, I edited all this 6 hours ago. I wasn't really sure what to talk about, but let's just dive into this, if you allow me. Sorry. All right, so we're talking about essential skills beyond code. Like I said, I'm not going to be that one that will come to you and tell you that, oh, this is a quick and fast way to make money. This is not me. I'm going to talk about the things, equipment you need to succeed in your career path, right? What you need to elevate, to advance in your career path. And as the topic says, this is us talking beyond coding. I'm not here to code, all right? I'm here to give you the real life things that you need that are way outside just knowing how to write code. Knowing how to write code is like 50% of the work, but the remaining 50%, you need to work on it for you to actually elevate in your career path or your career growth. All right, so without wasting much time, let's just dive into it. And from there, questions will spring up, we'll dive into different things, and we'll just go on with that. So for me, my method of, I would say teaching, and my method of learning, I like stories, right? I feel people learn better. Let me just say people, for me, I learn better with stories. Even in my formal education setup, I tend to understand better when I listen as compared to when I read, all right? Or when it comes to watching YouTube videos as opposed to reading documentation. So I just prefer listening to things. So I'm going to, like I said, this session is going to be interactive. It's going to be a lot of stories, a lot of questions, a lot of answers, and sharing of thoughts. So I would like to use my life, my journey, my challenges as reference throughout the session. Um, we're just trying to achieve a single goal here, which is to motivate you and also let you know that it's very much possible to reach the destination or the point you're trying to reach. So, talking about essential skills, this mostly focus on your soft skills as a programmer, right? It goes way beyond just writing codes, building products, building projects, infrastructures, and all that. You need to also, while you're trying to, develop your coding skills and master your coding skills, you also need to work on those soft skills, which play a very important role in your career path. So I mentioned a few here, and like this is just a little percentage of everything, but we just use this as a base and as a foundation, which you can apply in every aspect of your life, every aspect of your tech and programming journey. So essential skills like resilience, problem solving, adaptability, communication, and other things play a very important role because there's different situations you find yourself during your journey in this, in this industry that will require these different skills. And with these different skills, these are what you're going to use to come out on top of that situation. So let's go in. So resilience, handling bugs and burnout. Now, I'm sure we've heard about, burnout, bugs, errors, and all these things. And this just sounds like, basic words. Or, you get to a point where you hear something repeatedly and it just sounds really just like a normal thing. But in the actual world, in the actual industry, these are really serious things. When you get to a point where you're working day in, day out, and you just get burnt out, it's very, very hard to bounce back from that in a short period of time. Trust me, I've been there. There was a time I was working at a place, it was a startup, right? They haven't really had a structure with the way, the leave structure and all that. So I found that from January to the end of the year, you're working throughout the whole year. You don't have official leave or anything like that. So it gets to a point that you can't even, it gets to a point that you can't even rest. You can't even, you know, breathe. You can't even get the time for yourself. Now, at that point, when you're growing in the industry, you're trying to really impress, you're trying to make everyone know that you're trying to impress, you're trying to make everyone know that, okay, you're dedicated to this job, you're trying to, show the impression to your management that, okay, I'm that person. But you get to a point that all this work really starts, showing on you. And you feel that, okay, working so hard would make you 100% productive. I promise you, it gets to a point that your body would automatically shut down. You won't even be able to be productive. You won't be able to do anything significant. No matter how hard you try to push yourself, you won't be able to do that. But it gets to a point that in the industry, you have a situation where you're trying to launch a product, right? And you guys, when I say you guys, I'm talking about the tech team. You're working 247 trying to make sure that you meet the deadline for that situation. Regardless of what anyone tell you, in that particular situation, you won't think about either you're being burnt out or not because you have a deadline to meet. A product is launching by next week, and you still have like a bunch of bugs to fix. You still have like a lot of to-dos to do. I promise you, you won't think about burnout. But regardless, also focus on your health, all right? But we'll get back to that. So now, what I'm talking about burnout and bouncing back from that is if you have this resilient spirit, right? You have this spirit of, okay, I'm going to crack through this thing. You can have a situation where you have a bug you're fixing for a whole week. Yeah, you can fix a bug for a whole week. Sometimes you might not be able to get it done in a whole week. You have 2 weeks as you're fixing the same bug, right? But having that mindset that I need to see this thing through to the end is what's going to keep you going. Like I mentioned earlier, that mindset is what's going to keep you going, regardless of what the situation is. Now, this kind of spirit or this kind of energy is what every teammate, every company, every um, employer needs on their side. If you have a teammate where they are not, 100% into it, I'm not even speaking from the point of a senior person. I'm just speaking if you have a general teammate, right? And you find that this person can't give their 100% into the job, you'll be frustrated. Like you'll be 100% frustrated. But if you find out that you have a team of five and five of these guys are, all into it, they have this spirit of we're going to see it through to the end, we're going to, get things done. There'll be a lot of progress in that team. There'll be a lot of product and progress in our company. There'll be a lot of progress in that community. All right. So I want you to be one of those people that have that kind of spirit. I want you to be the kind of person that the kind of teammates or the kind of person that when you come into the room, people will be like, okay, progress, there's chances for us to have progress, all right? Because of that spirit you carry, that mindset you carry, is going to reflect on your work, it's going to reflect on your teammates, it's going to reflect on people that you do work with, right? Because when you have that kind of spirit, it kind of triggers other people, it kind of triggers people around you, even in a workspace, your bosses, everyone around you would definitely see that this particular person has that spirit. And like I said, this is outside coding. All right. You can be good at your job, but you're that kind of person that you don't really get things done. All right. I promise you, no management wants to have that kind of person around. You can know what you're doing, but at the slightest sight of inconvenience or at the slightest sight of disappointment, you just, lose every motivation you have. That's a very, very, very bad trait. So if you're a person that has this resilient spirit, I promise you, it's going to play a very great impact in your work. All right, now moving into the area of being able to adapt to changes. One thing they say change is constant, which is true. But in the tech space, if there's anything that exists in the tech space, is change. Every day, new solutions are being, pushed out into the market. New innovations are being brought out. New ideas are being, brought out. So changes, a lot of things are changing every second in the tech industry, like a lot. You might feel that, okay, I'm very much tech savvy. I promise you, there are a lot of things that you don't know, right? So you should be that kind of person that should be able to adapt to changes easily. Now, in the present day, AI is in the air, and I'd say from 2021, or rather, since the release of ChatGPT, the rate at which AI skyrocketed was a lot, like a lot. So that's something that you need as a tech personnel to be able to adapt to change quickly, very, very quickly. Because if you don't adapt to change, before you know it, you become outdated. And when you get outdated, you become irrelevant. And when you're irrelevant, trust me, no one wants your services. So you should be able to adapt to change quickly and fast. Now, when this whole AI thing came on board, there are a lot of people that were like, okay, um, we're not switching to AI, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. I, as a person, I very much love the concept of AI, even though people say that, oh, it's going to take our jobs and all that. But I tell people that AI, yeah, it might take some jobs, but that whole general idea of AI is going to take your job won't happen. But what's going to happen is AI will take the jobs of those people that refuse to learn how to use AI. That's what I keep telling people. Now, let's take coding, for example, right? So, years back, people were building products, softwares, right? They were amazing. I mean, they're still amazing, all right? But you find out that when you come to the present day and the rate at which competition is, now, if you're talking about maybe all these language models, at first, it was ChatGPT, that was the boss of all of them. In less than how many months, Google like, all right, we're challenging you. They released Bard at that time. Then Cloud came on board. Perplexity came on board. A few months ago, DeepSeek came on board. So you find that the competition is crazy. And this is not just in the level of language models or AI or anything. It's on the level of every product, every industry. Now, in Nigeria, you see the challenges of fintechs. Every startup is a fintech, every startup is a fintech. The competition is getting like crazy. So now speed and time is very much important. It's not just about you want to build a solution, it's how fast can you build a solution and push it out into the market. And how fast that solution is built is dependent on the development team. All right. Now, that development team, if you as an employer have someone that can do X amount of job in 1 hour, and have someone that can do the same amount of job in 5 minutes. Trust me, I'll go with the guy that does the job in 5 minutes. And that 5 minutes, the guy that does the job in 5 minutes is doing that with AI, right? Because instead of me trying to build something from scratch, I could easily just punch in some keys, send some prompts, and I already have like a whole file of code, and I proceed with what I'm doing. Now, do you get the concept? So the guy that knows his work, no issue is wrong with him. It's good. It's perfect. It's okay, right? But he takes more time to deliver the same output with this guy that does it in 5 minutes. Now, that is you being able to adapt to changes. All right, I know how to do this thing, but the market demands that I need to do this in a faster time. So for me to do this, I need to learn this. For me to learn this, I have to. That's just how the industry is. You learn things just to get the work done. Basically, I'm a backend developer. I write Python, I write Django, all right. But over the period of time that I've been working, I've done a lot of things outside this particular stack I'm doing. I've had a product I have to build with JavaScript, even though JavaScript is not my main language. I have a product I have to build with TypeScript. I've done some front end coding. I've done some UI design. I've done some data analysis. I've done some prompt engineering. So all these things might not be like my major stack, but you do things just for the work to keep going. And for it to be able to be that flexible, you have to have the ability to change, to move with changes, to adapt to changes, to learn things fast. And trust me, that's a skill that is needed in the workplace. Because as an employer or as just anybody that is working with you, they want to be sure that, okay, we can have this particular quality of work at a faster time, at a shorter time. That is a very, very demanding skill. All right, so going next is critical thinking. Now, critical thinking is something that we need to pay close attention to. Now, I'm sure that some of us, even at this point, when you hear about programming, backend engineering, the first thing that jumps into your head is code, right? And that's true. It's about coding, but it's not really just about coding. Now, I want to build a product, and this product is for me to be able to, book concerts for people, right? Now, my job in this team is to write the backend code, the APIs for this product. They have the front end guys, they have other people in the team, but my main job is to write the backend code. Now, before I dive into writing this backend code, in my head, I should have a plan. I should have a blueprint of what I'm trying to build, right? Take away the whole tech and fancy thing away from it. Think Just imagine yourself as a bricklayer, right? You're trying to build a house. Okay. You can't just dive in and start mixing the cement, mounting the blocks, and just going with it. You need to have a drawing, a plan, a map, right? An imagination of what you're trying to do before you start the implementation. That is where critical thinking comes into play. Because when you think about things critically, about why you're about to do something, about what you're trying to achieve about something, it gives you a clearer picture when you start implementing it. And that way, it's going to improve the quality of the work, right? It's going to make you stand out. Now, a perfect example is the front end guy and the product design guy. Now, we all know the product design guy, the UI guy, is the person that designs the UI interface, the design for a product. Now, they carry that design and give it to the front end guy and say, okay, front end guy, look at this design and give me a replica of this. Now, on the UI, probably the UI designer made a mistake, or maybe not a mistake, or just an oversight, right? You have a button, and this button, the height is maybe 5 pixels, right? And in another page, that same button is probably 4 pixels or 3 pixels. Now, the front end guy can just make the implementation because that's what he saw in the design, all right? And even if there's any consequence to that, it will just get redirected back to the design guy. That's fine. Or the front end guy can look at this and be like, I think something is wrong here. This is 5, this is 3. One of them is wrong, all right? And look for a balance between both of them, all right? So at that point where you put in your thought process into it, you find that you just automatically altered the quality of that work, changing it from a mistake to a good quality. So we as devs, we need to have that idea of critical thinking, right? We should have the idea of being able to think about something critically before we dive into writing code. Because if you don't do that, you find that that code you're writing, you'll probably have to rewrite it over and over and over again. And it's going to put a stain on the quality of work you give out. Another very much important thing is communication. This is something that most back-end guys lack, communication. Now, why I say this is when I started my journey, I started as an intern. I did my internship for I think 3 months before I switched into a junior developer. Now, after my 3 months, I had a performance review, and then my boss called me. I was like, "Oh, Chooks, I like your spirit, I like your zeal, and all that, but you have a flaw. You don't know how to communicate." I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" Because we do have stand up like every day, and we talk about what we do. I'm like, "What's the issue with my communication?" But it doesn't just fall into you have a stand up, you talk about, okay, what did you do yesterday? What are you doing today? Blah, blah, blah. No. It's about keeping updates, it's about documenting processes, it's about helping the next person to know what you're doing, right? Now, you come to a space or to a team as a new person and they already have an ongoing project. Now, if that team lacks good communication, you would know. How would you know? When you join a team for the first time, right? And it takes you like a week, a month to actually understand what's going on, to actually understand the processes. That team lacks proper communication. Because if there's a good flow of communication, you won't be lost for that long. There was a team I joined some time back to work on a particular project. This project was already in progress when I joined them. And I promise you, for 3 months straight, I didn't even understand what this project was about. Like, I had the surface knowledge, but I didn't really know what this project was meant to do because, one, there was no proper communication. Everyone was just doing their own thing, right? There was no proper documentation for me to even, read about it and be okay, this is what they've done so far, this is where they are headed, this is what's going on currently. There was no documentation. And it just seemed so at that point you just feel like you're not a fit into that team, right? And that would greatly alter and affect your productivity in that team. So I want you to be that person, to be that teammate that has a good, communication skill, such that anything you're doing, document it. And I'm not even saying this because of the workspace. Even at this level, when you're learning things from your tutor, from YouTube, from anything, document everything you do because that documentation would help you in future. This is not just hearsay, it's a practical thing. That documentation will help you in future because our brain is just our brain. It works the way it works. We forget things. All right. You might have an issue today and you fixed it. All cheers to you. In the next 2, 3 months, you might face the same issue and you might not remember how you did it. Now you have to start afresh, trying to figure out a way out. But if you had documented your process and be okay, I was trying to add 2 to 2 and I was not getting 4. So I had to follow this approach, this approach, this approach, and arrive at the solution. All you need to do is just refer back to your documentation, read it, and be like, oh, in less than 5 minutes, you're done. But without proper documentation, there's no way out for you. Now, clear communication now deals with your interaction with other people. All right. Be able to explain what you're doing because in the in the real world scenario, appraisal plays an important role. You might be so good at your work, but because you can't properly talk about what you're doing or what you've done, you can't properly blow your own trumpet. All right. They might not really see your impact. And that is something I promise you don't want to be when you find yourself in a situation where you're working so hard, but because you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to tell people, you don't know how to tell your management, okay, this is what I did, this is what I'm doing, this is the issue I faced, this is how I fixed it. They won't be able to really see your impact. And if you work in a team that, okay, you have a boss that is kind of, I won't say selfish, but human beings are just human beings, all right? And this boss every day just takes your glory. It's going to be a very bad impact in your performance review because they can't really see the impact of what you did. They can't really see or know what you've been doing so far. So be able to properly talk about what you're doing. If you have daily stand-ups, be able to properly talk about. I know backend engineering is very, very abstract, which might be hard for other people to really understand. That's if you're having like a team meeting. There's this thing that usually happens during stand-up where you have everybody in the engineering team talking about what they've done so far. Now you have the UI guy. The UI guy will show all the design looking all cute, and everyone is clapping their hands and say, "Oh, this is perfect." You have the front end guy showing all the beautiful things, but when it comes to the back end guy, you really have no visuals to show. All right, you have no visuals to show. So it's your communication skill that will help you at that moment for you to make the abstract visible for the other guys to actually know what's going on. So communication skill is something you should focus on greatly. Now, consistency, this is something you would need so much, especially in this program. You have to be so consistent. There's no two ways about it. You have to be consistent. And something that um, weighs a lot on people is they try to do large chunk of things at a time, and that's not productive. All right. I remember when I was looking for a junior role job, and everything just seemed like really, really tough. I had a mentor then, and she told me something. Social media can be so intimidating. Especially LinkedIn. You go on LinkedIn every morning, and everyone is getting a job, and you're just there, like, what's going on? Just like, listen, don't compare yourself with all these guys, or you have like you're on Twitter and you're seeing people talking about things they built and all those things, and you just feel so intimidated, like, what am I even doing with my life? She was like, you barely have a year of professional experience, and these guys have like over 5, 6 years of experience. They are not on your level, all right? So don't try to compare yourself to them. But one thing that you should do is just be true to yourself and be sure that every day you're consistent with something, right? It doesn't have to be a large chunk of anything, but just be sure that you have this small bit of thing you do every day and you are actually true to that and you're consistent with it. In time, you'll see your progress. And that's what I did. So I started doing something. I took it as a challenge for myself. Not really a challenge, but it was more like a challenge actually. I decided to build a solution. And this solution, I didn't plan to, make it a big thing, right? When you talk about solution, you think, okay, we're trying to build the next big time products or that. No, my intention was never, ever, ever to go, live with that product or with that project. But the reason why I wanted that was I wanted to challenge myself and I wanted to use it as a learning path for myself, a learning experience for myself. So as of then, I have never built large um any large projects. Usually at the entry level, all the projects you've seen in YouTube is okay to do apps, weather applications, notes apps, all those basic stuff, right? Which is still good to get the foundation, but I needed a challenge for myself to see a production cycle from beginning to the end. So I jumped on building a smart learning application. Sorry, when I say application, don't imagine a full application. I'm just talking strictly on the backend side of things. That's the APIs and all that. So I decided to build a smart learning application. And like I said, it was something that I've never done before. I didn't know how to go about it, but I know that I just wanted to do it. All right. So I started from the scratch, which was system architecture. Those diagrams you see where they put arrowheads linking from one place to another place. Yeah, that's what I started with. And I did that for almost 2 weeks. It's funny because at that time I was using Twitter so much and I was using Reddit. I don't even know if you use Reddit, but trust me, that's a very good place to find communities if you need one. So you just go on Reddit if you're whichever stack you're using, Node.js, Python, whatever stack you're looking for, they have amazing communities there. And it has like, you have different nationalities of people. So you're like meeting people from different places with different approaches and all that. But internet people can, of course, be rude. So it was something that was hard for me to adapt to because I posted my first system design on the platform asking for critiques and reviews. Why I got the critiques and reviews, they came at the expense of my mental health because they were so rude with it. But I knew what I was looking for, I knew what I was pursuing. After the system design, I had a clear picture of what I'm trying to build, all right, how the services would interact with themselves, how the database will interact with themselves and all that. Then I continued the project, all right. I took it day by day, step by step. The challenges were there and I was, you know, overcoming them gradually. And every challenge I overcame was an experience to me and puts me in a better position to explain and teach others. So I'll just give you a brief review of that because, like I said, documentation. All right, so this is my Twitter page. Other than I made this post, right, and this was a way for me to be accountable to myself and just to document my processes, my challenges, my failures, and it was something I kept referring back to. It was more like a checklist for me. All right. So I started the project, and if you can see, yeah, this was the design I was talking about. I changed this like a couple of times just to get more clarity on what I meant to work on. I had people that criticized it, talked about it. Yeah, if you can see, I mentioned it due to the flaws in the previous one, I redesigned it. So these things were all new things to me, but I had that challenge for myself that every day I must be consistent to see this project or to see this project to the end, right? I moved down to AR design. So this AR design will speak about the database tables, how they interact with themselves. I had never done this before, but I kept reading about it. Like I said, the challenges would open your mind to new things, and those new things will open your mind to more challenges. It's like a tree, an endless cycle, right? But you never know until you start doing it. So if you can see, I had to mention this guy because he had to comment about it. So I documented the whole process also when I started building the project and the product all the way down to the experiences I had, my issues, my challenges. I even talked about optimization. So I learned something about API performance and speed, right? To show that, okay, the way you build your APIs would alter how fast that API responds. I think in this first screen, I was showing, if you can see up here, the default was 45 seconds for this particular query. But after some research and modifications, I was able to change it down to 17 seconds, right? So all these things were just a learning path for me. And like I said, they were new to me. I had never done it before, but I just wanted to do something. So, but what kept me going was that pledge to myself to be consistent every day, right? I'm not sure how long it took me to build this product, but it took me a long time. And one rewarding thing is, I think if you can say you are like 18 folks. So I had people joining this project, like people that then were on my level, were all learning things together, right? They saw it as a challenge. They joined in the project. They continued with me. We learned things together. We faced challenges together, and we overcame them together, right? So today, I want you to just make a pledge to yourself, right? This goes beyond just what you learn on this boot camp, right? Because this boot camp can't give you everything. Nobody is a know-it-all, but you can't really say you know something until you do it. All right. And for you to do that thing, you need to have that consistent mindset that every day I need to achieve something. I need to tick something off my list. I need to, have something to say that, okay, today I was able to do this, or today I learned this, or today I did this. So just make that pledge to yourself today. Everyone have their own approach. You might follow my own approach and say, okay, I'm challenging myself to build something like this. Like think big, all right? I'm challenging myself to do something like this. So even if you don't reach to that peak, at least you know that the journey was worth it. All right. Just make a pledge to yourself and go with it. Now, another thing is emotional intelligence. Feedbacks are something you're going to get every time, especially when you're growing in the industry. You'll get feedbacks every time. And like I talked about my experience with Reddit, some people are not nice with their feedback. Some people are not nice with the way they talk, all right? But you know what you're pursuing, you know the knowledge you're trying to gain. So learn to let things slide, all right? Learn to, have a tough skin for feedbacks. As a as someone that is, coming up in the industry, your approach to building a solution might be different from the approach that an expert is using, right? Now, for you, that can be a little win. Oh, I was able to do this, and you're so happy. Then you send it to someone to review, and they criticize your work. All right. Now, don't feel sad about that. All right, or don't feel like you're in a beef with that person. All right. Nah, don't look at it that way. Just look at it as a way for you to be able to grow, a way for you to learn, a way for you to, get things done. I'm not saying that people are not rude. There are rude people out there. A lot of rude people, especially in this tech space. Oh my God. There are rude and proud people in this tech space. They need help. You DM someone, ask for help, and they just want to like step on you and feed their ego. Trust me, you're going to see a lot of people like that. But I don't want you to get discouraged with that. All right. You have your reason. I asked earlier your reason to be here. So you have your reason why you're here. So don't let someone else's feedback be the reason for you to give up. All right. So take feedbacks regardless on how they come. Just filter what is important to you and use it to grow. And this also speaks to you as a person. You'll be in position to give someone else a feedback. So while you're giving your feedback, be kind with your words because all these things go a long way in one's journey, in one's feelings. All right. So feedback, emotional intelligence is something that's also very much important as a tech personnel. So now, in general, all the skills are really, really valuable as the technical knowledge. Trust me, very valuable as technical knowledge. Like I said, the technical knowledge is 50% and the soft skills are 50%. A Someone that can write code properly but can't communicate, someone that can write code properly but easily gives up, someone that writes code properly but can't take feedbacks, trust me, is good as someone that is not helpful in the team. All right. So while you focus on building these skills, your technical skills, I want you to also pay attention to your soft skills because they complement each other and make you a better person. All right. So that's a lot I've said, but I'm going to open the floor now for you to ask your questions and I will answer. Thank you. All right. So does anyone have a question for me?
Please confirm you can hear me. Hi guys, please confirm. Okay, okay, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Chooks, for that wonderful session. In fact, personally, I learned a lot, and so uh,
Hi, Samuel. Are you speaking? Yeah. Can anyone hear me? Oh, okay. I think it's Samuel's network.
Apologies, I had a bit of network issues. So, Mr. Chooks, are you still on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so has anyone been able to ask question? Please unmute your mic, ask question. Okay, I think nobody is asking questions. So, I have questions for you guys. For me, today I've learned a lot, and thank you so much once again for that insightful session, Mr. Chooks. So I can see from what you said, for me, my takeout was he said growth comes from sustained effort and that we should commit to daily learning. Also, document your learning process in which you showed us your using yourself and as an example whereby um, the project you had, the process you documented, even taking feedback from people. You got different type of feedbacks, positively, negative one. Also, you know, you said a lot. So, like I said earlier, this community is a space for you to grow, connect, and collaborate. So, do not hesitate to ask questions. So, why my questions for you guys, I would want us to tell us, okay, what's your take or what have you learned so far? Give us a brief summary or recap of what we've learned today. So and everybody, this is an interactive session, so everybody must say one or two. So tell us what's your takeout, what stood out for you, So please unmute your mic and speak.
I took that the fact that communication is very important, and you should adapt to change very quickly, because there's always something new to learn every day, and then you should always like be willing, and consistency also. So that's the most important thing that I took from this session today. And thank you for the great presentation. It was very clear.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lingwe. So, Temitope, Christiana, Ngozi, Ola, Dimeji, Okeshe, Nkoraji, Look, I've not heard from you today, and you must speak. So, please unmute your mic. Tell us.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Chukwuka. The section was actually interactive and it's more educative. So I actually learned a lot, but I would say the most thing I pick basically is the point that you gave, that we should just keep upgrading ourselves. Like, though it's not been easy, like today as a front-end dev or something, you're learning React, and tomorrow they're telling you that React is not that reacting that you need to. So it's actually so much work to assimilate at the same time, really. But then we still need to keep up with our A game. But that point, really, I don't know how easy it is for you to like be up to date with the industry trend, and you kind of, I don't know, because it takes a whole lot of time to learn a particular framework or a programming language or something, and you're telling me to undergo the same process of trying to learn something else because that's the latest thing. Is Oh yeah, thank you very much for the section. It's been educative. Thank you so much, Sam.
All right, thank you, Ngozi. So let me chip in a little bit into that. So, like you said, it's so much, information overload. You just have a lot of things to learn. You're learning one thing, they tell you, oh, this is the next big thing. You're learning this, they tell you, oh, you need to move to this. Trust me, I was there. I'm sure a lot of people have been there too. And at that point, it gets really overwhelming because when you're learning something and you're seeing a bunch of people talking about another thing, you ask yourself, am I really on the right path? Am I really doing the right thing? All those questions just come into your mind. But I'll say one thing to you, all right. Every in quotes here, every programming language is good because sometimes people ask questions, which is better, this blah blah blah. Just think about what you want to get into, right? I'm just going to use backend because that's what I'm more familiar with. So think about what you want to get into and make your research around it. So now for backend, now when it comes to maybe AI, machine learning, everyone knows that okay, Python is the best at that. When it comes to web, JavaScript, not really, I won't say best, sorry, forgive my word with best, right? Like I said, all programming languages are okay, but you know that this particular language is what's dominating this section, right? So if I have the plans of going towards machine learning, AI, and all that, I wouldn't have to go and learn JavaScript, all right? I would have to focus on Python. Now, focusing on Python doesn't mean that you won't have people telling you that, okay, you have to learn JavaScript, you have to learn all these things, because you can also use Python in building webs, right? And all that. So when I was learning, all right, I started off with Python. And trust me, I didn't even think about all those AI, machine learning stuff. I just wanted to learn for web dev, all right? And when I was learning this, I was seeing a lot of my folks they learn JavaScript, which I would still emphasize is still perfectly okay. But I got to a point where I was very conflicted because most of the job posts you are seeing at that point where JavaScript, Node.js, JavaScript, Node.js. I'm like, bro, where's Python? Come on, what's going on? All that. But I just kept, doing what I'm doing because I know that Python also has a large population in the industry. It's not like it's some foreign, programming language that had no future hope. All right. I knew that this is actually a valid language for my career path. Okay. So I just stuck with that and continued with it. Now from Python, I went into Django, advanced in the frameworks and all that. Now I promise you, when you learn one language, like actually learn the language, right? It's going to be easy for you to use any other language because it's basically the same idea. Like I referenced earlier, it's not just about writing code. Programming starts from the head. You need to have that clear picture of what you're trying to build. All right. Now, I want to build something and I know that's okay. I need a database in play. All right. I need users to log in. And logging in, I know that the logic in my head is I need to type in my email address, I need to type in my password and make the request to the back end. And the request have to check the database to make sure, okay, this user exists. So you know the flow in your head, all right? That's where the programming starts. Now, the language is just the tool used to execute that imagination you have in your head. Now, when it comes to Python, like I said, also, we're in the age of AI, right? Now, when it comes to Python and I want to implement this thing, all I need to do is okay, how do they make requests in Python? I know that I need to send in the email address, I need to send in the password, but I need to do it in the way of Python. When it comes to JavaScript, it's still the same process, bro, but I just need to learn how it's done in JavaScript. All right. So I would say just focus on what you know and what you've researched that is valid for your industry and go with it. When you master that, when you learn that, trust me, it won't be that confusing anymore. I hope that helps.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Um, Luke, we can see your message in the chat. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Yes, the recording will be dropped on the channel and also on the YouTube on our YouTube channel as well. It will be dropped on the Slack channel and also the YouTube channel. So, any other question for Mr. Luke? I mean, we've heard quite a lot today, and they are thought-provoking, they're insightful. So this is, uh, an awesome session. We've learned a lot. So if you have questions, please unmute your mic and ask them now. Or if you want clarity or if you're having issues, so Mr. Chooks is here to attend to all that. So we still have a few more minutes to take questions or take um uh, okay, Shay, are you still in this meeting? Christiana, are you still in this meeting?
Okay, I'd like to ask, like, did you study like computer science or did you just go like a different route?
Okay, so I actually studied computer science, right? And I know while that's played, I would say a major role in my career, I would also like to mention that my growth in tech, I wouldn't say was really 100% based on what I learned in school, right? Because it's it's a different reality, right? What you taught in the classroom is different from what you see in the real world experience. So my journey into tech, if time permits me, let me just give you a brief background. So my first professional experience was an internship, right? And this internship was a funny one. Why I said it was a funny one was when I started, sending out applications. At some point, I was just looking for a free internship, right? Because it was so hard to get a place. And at some point, I got these guys. I did the interview and all that, and I was given this internship. Now, this was a very, very small startup. So just like 4 or 5 guys in the team, like in the entire team. So it was a really, really small startup. But I got deceived. I was told at that point that there was a senior backend developer, which I was meant to like learn underneath. But when I came on board, the guy was leaving. So basically, they needed a replacement, right? And they didn't really want to go so high. That's why they sent out an application for interns. Now, coming into the workspace, in quotes, I'm an intern, but in quotes, I'm the only backend guy in that team. All right. So that was a very big challenge for me, like a very big challenge because they were building a product and I have never, when I say never, I have never built a product in my life. All right. I could easily just say, all right, I'm not doing this anymore. But for some reason, I stayed. And this was not just a simple Web 2 application, it was a Web 2 that was integrating with Web 3. There was a time that blockchain was a crazy thing out there. So it was a lot. It was challenging, very, very much challenging. So now how challenging it was, the first day in my job, I had to call someone to ask, how do I host my API to know how much of a greenhorn I was at that point. But I don't know, for some reason, I just have that spirit of taking up challenges and just, facing them squarely. All right. So for that 3 months, I worked on that product, the MVP of the product. And this was the one I told you about that gave me a review afterwards. So in January, I started this internship, I think October. Then the next year, January, I was moved to a junior developer. I just, for some reason, just took up the challenges as they came, and it's really helped me in my growth because you know how they rank things by years of experience. You're like, oh, maybe I think 1 to, if I'm not wrong, 2 years is junior or 3 years is junior, then 3 to 6 is mid and all that. But when I was an intern, I was already building a solution that a junior dev or rather a mid dev was doing. So that's really played a major role in my career growth. And all that wasn't just about my coding skill, if I'm being honest, because I was not good, but it was these soft skills that kept me going. So that's why I say that these soft skills are really as important as your coding skills. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. It was very informative. And in terms of interviews for internship, do they like go technical, or is it just like normal interview, or do they differ from companies maybe?
Yeah, so they differ, but the major ones you would say is the technical and just like the general interview where they ask you basic questions, but you should always anticipate a technical interview. So now this technical interview can come in both ways. So first way is you're probably applied and okay, they've gone through your CV and they feel like, oh, you're good. Then they send you an email, right? And tell you, okay. So for me, the kind of technical interviews I've had, especially when I was looking for internship, is you get an email and they'll tell you, okay, build this. They'll probably give you like a guideline of what they want you to build and the requirements, what they expect your code to achieve, right? Then you're told to submit it either via GitHub or maybe Google Docs, Drive or wherever, whichever way, but it's mostly GitHub. Or sometimes you're told to host it for it to be like accessible live, right? So anticipate technical interview and anticipate just the normal interview where you asked questions. Yeah, right. You're welcome.
Awesome, awesome, great. Thank you so much, Mr. Chinks, for sharing your experiences, background, and issues you faced, and you know, your recommendations and insights, basically. So, does anyone have questions for him? Please ask your question. Okay. I'm guessing no questions. Okay, please confirm. Can we all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, okay. Um, so thank you very much, Mr. Chooks. We've learned a lot today, and talking about communication, handling setbacks, and the critical thinking, coding smarter and not harder, and also committing to daily learning. For me, I'll emphasize on documenting your learning process. Like I will always say after our class sessions, like take screenshots, post on LinkedIn or your other social media pages, stating like what you've learned so far. This is part of documenting the process. Even if you have personal projects as well, and collaborating and communicating with other members or class members rather, this helps as well. So like you just said, good comes from sustained effort. So Dive Africa is a community, it's a space for you to grow, connect, and collaborate. So don't forget to ask questions, share progress, and support one another. So thank you very much everyone for joining the session. um Thank you so much, Mr. Chooks, for the invaluable insights, and you know, thank you once again. So we'll be closing or ending the session now, and meeting in the next mentor session. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining. Do enjoy the rest of the weekend.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
think a few minutes for this call today. If you understood Hello? I don't come back. So I bet what's the name? Hello?
Yes, we can hear
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, what language I went to
No, you're the one that was trying to explain something to me.
okay, I think have you heard the explain about it? I think what he was trying to explain to you is that I beg what was I even trying to explain?
Hi, Iloka. Can you hear me?
You're trying to explain why what he has explained to me. Don't worry.
Okay, all right. So
Thank you so much.
I'll be seeing you in the next
Yeah,
class.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So enjoy the rest of your weekend.